Welcome to our podcast. We'll think of something. This is Jam.
And this is Daniella. Today on episode 3 of our podcast, we speak to Channell Ware. I'm just going to kind of tell the basics of this as I understand it, this incident that happened. So it sounds like two Buffalo police officers pulled over a vehicle. There were two separate reasons that I read. Initially, they said it was just a routine traffic stop, and then later the story changed to that they saw him smoking a blunt.
Okay.
So whatever reason they pull them over, and then it sounds like there's different accounts, and there's like witness accounts, and then there's what the police is saying. So somehow the one officer who was closer, I believe his last name is Aquino, was in the vehicle they didn't see the suspect's hands, and so they were trying to get the suspect to show his hands, and the officer reached in the car and claims that he felt a gun in the pocket of the suspect. And at some point during that, the suspect began to move the car while the officer was still in it. And it sounds like they must have went a little bit of a distance, and then they crashed into a building.
Whoa.
And when that happened, the airbag went off, and at some point during that, the officer said he got shot in the ear. So
By
the suspect.
Okay.
And at that point, they must have pulled him out of the vehicle. Or then there was like a scuffle on the sidewalk. The suspect ran, and then Aquino's partner, whose name I believe was Tedesco, shot the suspect, and then that was kind of the end of it. But they are not even positive that the suspect was armed because they never found a gun.
And the autopsy came back and there was no residue on his hands.
Right.
Saying
so
that he
there
had
was
shot
no
a
gun
weapon.
powder on the suspect's hands.
Was the talk screen clear? Do you guys know anything about that?
I believe there were... the police said that they found a lot of marijuana in his vehicle.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's anything else involved, but so yeah, that's
the
Aquino,
one who got shot,
and
yeah.
like his ear, I guess, was like dangling off of.
Yeah, I think he had to have surgery to have it reattached or something.
Do you think that there's a possibility one of the two police officers or the other police officer accidentally shot his partner, or he shot himself in accident during the whole...
I don't think he shot himself. I think that the officer either shot him or the airbag, the pressure of the airbag coming out may have like hit him, on the side of the head. But to dangle an ear, it makes me think that he was shot as opposed to, blunt force trauma of like an actual airbag coming out. Because it said, the initial reports that I read said that the officer witnessed his partner and this guy in a scuffle. At that point, he said that he got down and dropped down on one knee and he shot 2 times. Now, the guy himself, the suspect, he was shot twice. So it's hard to say if it was like maybe a through and through. It went through his ear and then went through the guy's body. Who knows? But the guy was actually shot twice and the officer fired twice. So, I mean, with that being said, at least both the shots are accounted for. But that's not to say that one of the bullets did not pass through the officer's ear, causing it to obviously disattach from his head and then, go into the suspect.
Forgive me if I'm a little bit lost because this is the first time I'm hearing of this story. So Jose was the man that passed away. Okay, he was a suspect. Now, so you're saying that Aquino and his partner Tedesco both pulled him over with suspicion of marijuana.
Well, initially it was a routine traffic stop. And then later on, once the story was kind of Swiss cheese.
That,
It came out that they then seen him smoking a blunt in the car, and that's why they pulled him over.
Okay.
Who really knows why they pulled over? I feel like why they pulled him over at this point is neither here nor there. No. It's the lack of training once somebody is actually pulled over. Mm-hmm. That's the most disturbing part about it.
So now after he was pulled over by these two officers, did he stayed in the vehicle?
Yes.
And then, okay, run that by me again. Why did they crash? At first, okay.
Yeah, it's a little blurry because there's some witness accounts that don't really go with other witness accounts and what the police are saying. There's kind of, the timeline seems blurry to me. What I understood is that when Aquino reached in to stop him from getting his gun or whatever he thought he was doing, then the suspect moved the car, and it sounds like the two of them.
It sounded like he was dangling to me. Like he was. The guy was going forward, and he was hanging out the window. That's what it sounded like to me when I read it. Like, that he went some time, and the officer was hanging out the window, and during that time is when they were having a scuffle.
Okay.
When they crashed, I believe is when the guy did get out the car. Because now I believe that he was trying to flee flee the scene at that point.
Which that all makes sense. And then I believe they found.
What I'm not clear about though is if when they crashed was the ear already dangling. Or if it was that's the part that I have never read as to when it actually happened. Once they actually got out the car, did the situation happen? Or did it already happen when they were in the car? That's the one detail that I've never, I've been able to clear up.
Yeah, that's confusing. I did read that there was some blood on the airbag. So that kind of indicates that whatever happened to the ear happened while they were both still in the car. Right. However it happened, I mean.
But then they also never said at what point the officer took the knee and fired the two shots.
There weren't any witnesses, or there were?
There were.
Yeah, there were.
I was going
to
say, because this states that this is 5 p.m. It happened in
there were
the
kids outside. Yeah. There were adults outside. And what I feel like is bringing up a lot of controversy is the problem. The witness accounts are not matching what the officers are saying happened at the actual scene. They're saying that, that's the first thing that they said was that the officer shot the other officer. Like, that's what the witnesses were saying. Yeah, like by accident.
Oh, really?
Like, he was trying to shoot the suspect. Mm-hmm. Which obviously he did twice, but the witnesses' accounts that I read in the initial report said that the officer shot him.
The timeline that I read, I think it was the Buffalo News, said that Aquino had shouted out, "I'm shot," and that's why his partner went and took the action that he did, and he felt was necessary because he was told that his partner was shot.
Right.
So it really all depends. I mean, no one seems to have seen a gun. Even the Aquino
or found the gun at that point.
The gun's gone.
But there's always going to be gunpowder residue anywhere on the human body when you shoot a gun. So if they didn't find it on the autopsy, that's already sketchy as it is.
Yeah.
Because you can also tell from his wound what kind of bullet it was. What kind of, with the gunpowder on themselves, what kind of gun it was too, Mm-hmm. And how long ago was this? This was like 5 days ago, a week ago?
I was just about to say, it was probably a week and a half ago.
Are there any recent news regarding it at all, or is it hidden right now?
That was the most recent is that the Attorney General has taken over the case, and they're supposed to be investigating. So. Yeah. As of right now, there seems to be no evidence that he was armed.
Do you know anyone that's angry about it and rioting yet, or talking about it? Because right now I can't find anything online being posted about it except for the Buffalo News, and that's already crazy to me because I feel like if something like this were to happen in a bigger city like Los Angeles, things like this would have been blown up the day of the shooting.
I think I saw it a lot on my timeline, initially when it happened, and not so much of the actual details of what happened, but just the outrage of how it's not getting more attention, how people, kind of only want to be a part of something when it gets attention, and not so because it's just the right thing to do, just to stand on something. But initially, on my timeline at least, it looks like the general consensus of my friends were just kind of just another example of how, we just cannot trust police officers, whether he did shoot him and he was justified, and now, they're covering up aspects of the story, to make it seem a certain way or appear to be a certain way, or whether, he was shot in cold blood. It's like either way, I think it's just a atmosphere of distrust. You just can't trust anything they say. You can't trust them type deal.
Do you think that there's a distrust between on both sides?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Because I deal with officers. I know officers personally. At my job, we have security there and things like that. And I've been privy of meeting of a slew of cops. And do I think all of them have ill intentions? No, I really don't. Like, I've met some great cops, that I would consider to be good cops without obviously knowing how they act in the field and whatnot. But, just their personalities and what I got to pick up, from gauging their personalities. But I think, it's more so on both sides, because I have conversations with them and they talk about how, they're scared to do anything, because they're scared that any action that they take, anything that they do will be perceived as racist or being overly rough, aggressive, So I do think it's on both sides. They're scared too. Well, the ones that I know, scared that, they're going to be caught in a situation like this.
Yeah. That's a tough situation, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Because do you think that the police force now in America, I mean, I know every state is different, but do you think that they start them too young?
I don't think they start them too young. I just feel like they don't give them enough training. That's a lot to put on somebody that has, like, I don't remember the exact amount, but I do recall, someone saying that you have to train longer to be a cosmetologist than you do a police officer. And when you think about that, the grand scheme of that, someone being more trained to do your hair than to protect and serve you, maybe they are, starting behind. But I feel like there's a lot of things going on, a combination of things, not just one thing that you can place, your finger on and say this is the only reason as to why this is happening.
Now, the only reason why I asked that question is because you just need a high school diploma to become a police officer. And that makes a lot of sense because you just need a high school diploma to be anything, really.
Right.
But in regards to that, a lot of people that just get out of high school, you think about it, I'm going to be a police officer in a couple months, or I'm going to go into training in a couple months right after you graduate high school. A couple months ago, they were raising their hand to go to the bathroom. Right. And that to me is kind of like, you have no life experience. I mean, I'm sure some people have, but a lot of them don't have life experience. So how can they make quick judgments in situations like this one that just happened? They're afraid, and they're just, I think I read the guy might have been like 31 years old, so he's a little bit older. But I know plenty of people that I graduated high school with that went straight to the police academy.
Well, I feel like that's where effective training would come in, though, because people come straight out of high school and go into the military, and there are very successful people that go straight from high school and have long careers in the military. But is that because they're constantly being trained? They're constantly going through programs and getting support to, maintain their headspace and stay physically fit or whatever it takes to be a soldier. Right. I think it should be something like that on the police force as well.
Right, exactly.
And the fact that they don't have that, I feel like that is a major contributing factor to the disconnect, with everything, is because you can't cover every situation that you would run into as a police officer in a 2-week or 3-week training course.
Right.
You know, it's just not gonna happen. It has to be some type of ongoing training.
Just like the military for sure. Because the reason why they're a little bit more level-headed when it comes to when it comes to situations, for example, like this one, I feel like it's easier for them to be able to distinguish what to do, even like physically, rather than just mentally. You know, because like when you're shit scared, you know, some people freeze up or they hide or they just impulsively, I'm gonna do something. You know, but like I have a lot of friends in the military, and like they've been there for like 4, 6, almost 7 years now, and they know how to take care of situations like this. And I feel like, if you're right, if a police officer had training, ongoing training, always keeping them on their toes all the time, then maybe stuff like this would be avoided.
And then the alternative, I mean, when you look at it on the flip side, this is a person, regardless of why they pulled them over. Like, let's just play the scenario. Regardless of why they pulled them over, once they did pull them over, the fact that they haven't found the gun yet, can we just say, for benefit of argument's sake, that he didn't have a gun, and that you have 2 trained, and this is air quotes going over, trained officers that are unable to apprehend one person. This wasn't some huge person or obscenely strong person. Right. This was like some everyday citizen, you know, like, you know, maybe not everyday citizen because of whatever, you know, he was doing in his life, but, you know, an average Joe. Yeah. You know, to think that they are not even in a position to apprehend him, to restrain him until help comes, you know, that it did turn fatal. That's fucking scary. Yeah, it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, to know that these are the people that I would rely on if I was in an emergency. If somebody was beating me up, this is who I would call? What can you do for me? Except possibly kill me. You know, it's like you almost get to the point where you don't think to call them first. Because, you know, you just don't feel as protected as you once felt, or you used to feel, or... I don't know. I've never felt like, can remember feeling like this in my life, where they wouldn't be the first person that I would call in an emergency.
I'm just going to play devil's advocate because I've heard this argument before, and I just kind of want to see. I've heard the argument that if you just follow what the police officer is telling you to do, and let's just keep speaking about the same situation. Right. The officers were asking to see his hands, and he was not complying with that order. Right. So then what? I mean, it's easy enough to say that had he just shown his hands, had he followed the officer's commands, that maybe this situation could have been avoided altogether. And I know it's kind of like victim blaming kind of thing, but I have heard that argument before, and I don't know what you think of it.
You're asking how do you think the situation would have turned out if he did comply? But there's no say if he did or not, right? No one knows.
Well, I mean, the fact that witnesses' account says that he was hanging out the window, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that he wasn't complying with that they were saying. But when you think about it, that's when cops are around, when people are not complying. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when you're most needed. So it's like, if needing you, you know, turns into you killing me when I'm not even being a physical threat. Well, he did almost. I mean, he was hanging out the window.
I was going to say, why was he...
Not that that's funny or anything, right?
Why was he hanging out of the window?
I think he was just reaching in the car trying to deal with him, and the guy just took off driving, you know, type deal.
Wait, I'm pretty sure
that's when they should have shot him.
I was going to say,
you know what I mean? That's when they should have shot in.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure in training, you're not supposed to go in there unless they're out already.
I wouldn't. Sure. I was just about to say, don't give me the line. I have no idea.
See, now this changes everything, because I'm like...
I'm assuming it was because they believed he was going for his gun.
So the officer put himself in the window?
That's how it sounds.
That changes everything that we're talking about, because now the officer put himself in danger by choice.
But what do you do? What do you do if you feel like someone's going for a gun? What do you do?
There's 2 people.
Just take off.
You know, not even take off.
Well, I was gonna say, there's, like you said, Yeah, like you said, there are two people. Right. To apprehend the suspect. Okay. You have 2 points of protection, or 1 point of protection for each officer, technically. And the person's in the car, you already have the advantage because you have the space around you. You know, like usually the way it works is like one officer is here, one officer is here, so now you have both visuals. Like, what was the other officer doing? Chilling in the car?
No, I think he was at the...
I think that's the whole point. We would never know.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what's bringing such disdain in the mouths of people, is because the only people we have to rely on for the truth, you know, that we should not have to second guess what they're saying. We are second guessing what they're saying because the way that they want us to believe that it played out seems almost impossible for it to have played out like that. You know, and if we can't trust your initial accounts of what happened, can we trust anything you say?
Right.
And I feel like that's where, you know, it's very possible that all of this could have been a mistake. You know, this is one situation where I'm not even saying this has anything to do with race. I feel like this has something to do with bad policing. Like, plain and simple. Like, I just don't feel like that is a race situation in this particular case. Like, it's just an example of...
Well, hold on. Before you continue on with that, regarding racism, I'm not going to say the police officers were racist because we don't know that.
No, that's what I just said.
Right, but do you think, let's just say that it was an act of racism.
Okay.
Do you think the moment they pulled Jose over and they're like, okay, this guy's a minority, right? And the moment they saw one of them move, whoever shot and killed or whatever the situation was, the moment he did a slight movement, that, you know, because racism was a motivation, do you think that caused them to react impulsively? Like, I know the decision's hard at the moment, but...
I don't want to get into, you know, what they thought, you know, when he moved. Right. You know, I don't want to put that on them. You know, it's already hard enough being in this situation. I'm just not going to throw racism on it. I think in this particular situation, it's just the cops versus the people. And that's just kind of what's been going on lately. Right. Like, even though I do feel like, you know, minorities are definitely targeted more often than any other, you know, race or whatever have you, I do feel like in this situation, my first thoughts didn't go straight to race. It went straight to, like, damn, like, can y'all ever do anything without killing somebody? Like, you know, can you pull somebody over without killing them? Can you make a traffic stop without killing somebody? Like,
it's very true, but if you also think about it, they prepare them to be ready for anything. And it's also not like they work at a cafe and you screw up like their coffee and you have to get them a new one. It's like you make a decision now or you don't. Right. You know? And either one of you is fucked. Even if it's simple, you know what I mean? Like, I've had friends start shit with kind police officers because they're getting a speeding ticket. You know what I mean? Like, piss off the right person and you have a shitty day. Right. So it's always going to be a huge controversy.
Yeah, I mean, the police officer's job is, I mean, I think we can probably all agree it's
impossible. Hard. I mean, I do believe that the strategies they're using needs to be improved. For sure. And a lot of places, a lot of states are already taking care of that. There's more evidence to show to everyone that, you know, like, if they get pulled over, they have cameras on their body. I don't know if they have that here or not. No, not yet.
Well, I don't know. Now, I was just about to say they probably will. Because there was that situation when they hit somebody, you know, they were chasing somebody and they hit them. Or whatever, with the car.
A person on foot?
Oh, yeah, it was video of it and everything.
Oh, you can
look it up. So it was talks about them having body cameras then, you know, like, and the reason that they said that they hit him is because he was coming at them, and that's when everybody started talking about they should have tasers and things like that, because I guess they had one taser for the whole police department or something like that. They had came out, like something crazy like that. So that's when they were talking about tasers, because he used the vehicle, obviously, to kind of stop the guy.
He used it as a way to, hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is all fucked up.
Go Google it.
I am not okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So now
where's
I feel
the
like
money going?
We're definitely on our way to body cameras because this is not the first situation where their practices or their methods at restraining somebody came into question. Like, I don't know if I would have hit him with a car though. You know what I'm saying?
Like I don't have shit on me. I don't feel safe to get out of the car. Let me hit him with it.
I think part of the problem is that I would say the police as a whole, there's not even any particular department, have a history of cover-up. For defending each other without any regard of that's just their first.
And for targeting people, racial profiling. I mean, I had read one article that said that when they were trying to explain why they initially pulled him over, they said that he was known. You know what I'm saying? Like,
interesting.
I mean, and I believe that because they said that he had a large rap sheet, So obviously, some officers are familiar with you. They see you, they know, the things that you've done, and that's profiling. You know what I'm saying? If he was not committing a crime, at the time to just. And that's not to say that he was reformed or anything, but it is you know what I'm saying? It's our right, that once you serve your time that you're not able, if you're not on papers, you're not able to be targeted like that. And I feel like, I don't know why they pulled him up, and I don't think I'll ever know because it doesn't seem like they're doing any real investigation for real to find out the truth. The first thing that kind of made me think, though, that something was up is like when you first heard them on the news talking about it, they were like he was shot in the shoulder and the arm and he died. So I was like, whoa, he was shot in the shoulder and the arm and he died. When they said it, it didn't seem fatal to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what first initially made me think like, damn, how does somebody get shot in the shoulder and the arm and die without them saying, oh, and it nicked his heart, because the shoulder is relative. It could be, somewhere in this area, but they never made any mention as to why he would die from those type of injuries. I do remember them saying they hit an artery, but they never really dwelled on how he died. I feel like the focus was more so that this officer has been shot in the head, which was a gruesome account of what actually happened, considering that he was shot. And that's not to take away from anything from his injury, but the initial report said an officer shot in the head. And when you think shot in the head, you're not thinking a through and through wound through a ear and an ear hanging off. You're thinking, a violent attack on, and I feel like that was just an example of how they criminalize the victim, to justify the act.
When I read about what happened, the first thing it did mention was that an officer is lucky to be alive because he was shot in the head, and then later does state that his ear is fine and that the ear is
very misleading.
And the end of it's like the ear is intact. Don't worry. I'm like, congratulations.
Like, so when I first heard the report, and then I heard it was the ear. It was just kind of like, wow, that seemed like it was over dramatized, to make it seem like he was fighting for his life. Oh, and yeah, by the way, he got shot 2 times and he did. But this guy, you know what I'm saying?
But his ear is cool.
Right, you know
his
what I'm saying?
Is fine, everyone.
I just never...
That might be the media's fault, though, because they could just be trying to tell a more, dramatic story than what actually happened.
Aren't they always?
Right.
If we make this a little bit more dramatized, the media's working with the police.
Right. Hey, everything's a conspiracy. After I start watching Scandal, you can't tell me nothing, man. Scandal. If I get a parking ticket, they after me.
You're on the grid.
Right, I'm on the grid.
You're fucked now. You got a parking ticket.
Exactly. So who knows, man? Who knows?
You don't have to answer this question, but have you ever been pulled over or have you ever dealt with police?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay. I've had situations with them. I will say that it was early in my life, and I can't honestly say I've had a negative personal experience with police officers. Obviously, there's been situations that I've been, privy to know about through the media, social media, that obviously I don't agree with. But my own personal experiences, I've never had a situation with an officer when I was like, wow, you're being racist, or wow, you're being unfair, or a situation like that.
Well, that's lucky. Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
And I can't say the same for everybody that I know, but I guess,
Yeah, I've dealt with cops before, actually, plenty of times, like you said, in my younger years.
Right.
But I have experienced both ends.
Really?
Yeah, positive. And then I have experienced it where, like, a man officer is not supposed to search a female. At least in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and Virginia too.
Okay, yeah.
That's where I got
go. Okay. And I remember it was a group of us, and he pulled us over. We were all in the van. We were heading over to a friend's house for a birthday party. This must have been like 7 p.m. And I was like 15 or 16, super young. All of us were around the same age, except for the driver. And when he pulled us over, it was him and 3 other cops. They were rookies. Now, this was training. This was like street training. And I remember they lined us all up, and they started patting all of us down. There were only 2 women, and I know a little bit about the system, so I said, you can't touch me, officer. You have to call a female officer to come in. He's just like, I don't give a fuck.
Wow.
So he went in. He took all my stuff out of my pockets. He found like a little pocket knife. He's like, what the fuck is this for? You're going to kill one of us? You're going to stab one of us?
What?
And his rookie officers were just laughing. They're like mocking all of us and whatnot. And he was like, get on the floor right now. Like out of everyone that's there, I'm the youngest one at the time.
Right.
So now I'm on the floor. And he's like, are you in trouble for anything? Are you on probation? I was like, yeah, I am on probation. Nothing for anything crazy, but I am on probation. It's like, we're calling your PO right now. And just trying to make a mockery out of the whole situation. And then he found that I was 16, and he's like, oh shit. And then he's like, stand up. You guys are good to go.
Right, because you were a minor.
Yeah. At the time, I was just shit scared, and I didn't know what to do. Right. And I realized if I took his badge number, I could have taken him to court for touching me, all that, it's very illegal. So everything they do.
But most people respond just like you respond. They're just so happy to be out of the situation that they don't even,
I was just like, we got back in the van and we're heading to the party. We're like, oh, what the hell was that? And we were like laughing about it.
And that's what they count on, that you just gonna let it go, let it slide, right?
Yeah. Which has happened a lot. Because you're just like, shit, I didn't get hurt.
Right.
I'm not in jail.
I didn't get a ticket,
I didn't get a ticket. My parents would kick my ass if I did. But then you forget that, there are rules and regulations.
Right, and you have rights.
You have rights as a person.
Right. And someone needs to hold them accountable. Yeah. More importantly, that's the problem that they've ran rampant for so long. It's not that this stuff has just started happening. We've just been able to just start documenting this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, it was 10 years ago. Everybody didn't have readily available, a camera phone and, all of this technology and social media and stuff like that.
Careful
so to think that this stuff wasn't going on, I mean, it definitely was for sure. It's just that it could not reach the masses like it can now,
And it would have just been the police officer's word.
Right, exactly, because you got no evidence.
Right.
Which is still the case, even with evidence.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
still
scary.
Kind of the case.
That's a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day.
Yeah, this is a good topic to talk about because I feel like 2 or 3 years have been crazy when it comes to the police. And it has been dying down. So that's a little bit scary. And I think a lot of it has to do with, the media aspect. There's a lot more things that are being blown up.
Right.
There are people that get hired to cover up stories like this, on social media by blasting things that they think other people will think are more important. I'm really glad that we chose to talk about this topic. Plus, rest in peace to this guy, whether or not he was shitty or not.
Right, he didn't deserve
to die like that.
And his family, I mean, what they're going through right now, they at least deserve the truth of the situation.
I was going to say, they're probably tripping out because they have no idea what happened to their relative.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, he had a rap sheet, So, I mean, he wasn't necessarily always a law-abiding citizen, but he still had every right that everyone else does.
Oh, for sure. And then at the end of the day, it's just like, I've had situations with the law in my past, you know, and I would hate to think that I could be a reformed person, you know, a law-abiding citizen at this point in my life, and I can have a run-in with the law, and I could be wrongly killed, and people will bring up something that I did in 1996 to justify me as a person 12, 15, 16 years later. That's not fair.
You know it would
yeah, for sure. Like, you know, it makes me think that I won't ever get a fair shake. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, they'll always get to fall back on who I was and not who I was at the time that it happened. You know, like, to think that everybody is going to reveal every dirty, dark secret you ever had in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody was to go through anybody's life, I'm sure you can find things that are not that appealing, you know, things that are very disgusting about that person, possibly, you know, things that you won't want anybody to know, that you would never do again, you would never say again, you know. It's just, I hate when they do that, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I don't want to, just like when they drag that guy off of the plane. And that's exactly the situation. They dragged him off the plane, and then in 1996, he got accused of trading sex for medication or something like that, and that was like the focal point of the story.
Like, he got dragged, man. He was
right. Like, what the hell does that have to do with him getting dragged? Did he give the drugs to the flight attendant? You know what I'm saying?
Can we do a background check on the people that dragged this guy off the plane? Shit.
Yeah. Like,
they do have huge companies actually have investigators to dig up shit on people that they're suing or people that are suing them, which is a really fucked up profession. I'm just saying, I don't agree with people making a living off of that. You're such an asshole, but like, whatever, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I mean, we do that with politicians. We do that with everybody.
For sure.
Calumny everywhere, I'm telling you.
It's just like, if you actually sat down and thought how the world worked, it's enough to make you literally cry. It's like, this shit is so sad.
More than that, man.
No, for real. This shit is so sad. It's like, wow, man, that's really messed up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
there's just too many variables. There's too many people with too many experiences, and this person interacts this way with this person, and they do this when they're in this situation. And it kind of reveals a little bit about just humans in general. Like, if you're put in a certain situation, you could react this way that you wouldn't have reacted in this situation. And there's a huge, like, range of situations that you may act.
Everybody's just fucking confused now. All the time.
Right.
All the time. Because back in the day, I feel like without social media or like internet or anything like that, it was easier to manipulate someone into thinking this is how life should be.
Right.
And now with how the world is, nobody knows what's going on. You know, you'll hear something from Syria, for example, and you'll be like, oh shit, that's crazy. But we're too focused on everything that's going on around us. We become completely desensitized towards it. It's really sad. It's a sad thing to think about. Because we used to give a shit.
We did.
You know? And now it just all happens all the time. We hear about it all over the globe.
Right.
What's the thing? How do you care? How can you care about everything?
You can't.
It's too much.
It really is. It's exhausting.
And then you're dealing with your own stuff.
Yeah, it's like, I should prioritize with my life, but I should give a shit about people over there because they're human too. Like, which one is it, you know?
But I will say that I've never felt more so now than, like, in the past, where I feel myself uncomfortable in certain situations just because of the way that race is playing out, you know, in the media, you know, obviously the way cops play out in the media, it has changed my internal feelings. Now, whether I let that, manifests itself in the way I project myself to people. I would hope I don't, but I can't lie and say that maybe I live in the city. I live in Elmwood Village.
Okay.
So it's very diverse over there, but I can't say that when, I would go visit Daniela. We actually joke, about this when she lived in Lancaster, how I don't feel comfortable there.
Oh, I understand you.
And how when she would tell me, to come visit, the thought of being, in that area, by myself, a black female that dresses like a guy, it was very frightening. You know what I'm saying? Like, almost probably as frightening as her to think of, a white, skinny, female coming down to the city, turning down streets with, things that she's probably never seen before. And I will say that, I do try to keep people like that around me to keep me out of my comfort zone, to make sure that I am not always where people think I should be.
Yeah,
and
I'm
like where I want to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm forcing people to deal with that. You know what I don't know.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I grew up in a melting pot. Los Angeles is like every race you can think of. And I was just so used to like going to school and there being the entire world in one classroom.
Right.
And then when I moved to Buffalo, I moved downtown, and that was cool because I fit right in. It was near the city.
Right, that's around where I live.
Right. Okay. Cool. But I remember there was a point where before moving here, we had to live in Lancaster, and a lot of the places that I would go there, I felt uncomfortable as well.
Right.
Not only that I am gay, I am also a minority.
Right.
And it actually plays in a part of it. Okay, it's gonna sound really weird, but it wasn't like everyone was staring at me like, who the fuck is this?
Right.
It was more like, oh, who the fuck is this? It was like that. Like a lot of older white men have like a weird fetish about Asians.
What?
Oh,
that's a thing.
It's a
what?
thing.
That's a thing?
Let me tell you a little bit about this. I didn't experience this until I moved here. So I started working at a Starbucks, and every old white man would hit on me aggressively too, or say something really inappropriate, and they thought they could just get away with it, and it was because I am Asian, and there was this huge deal where a lot of the people that were in the war, a lot of them live in like the suburbs now, the ones that are still alive, and they stayed in countries in Asia, and they, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I constantly get not compliments, but I really, really inappropriately. A couple months ago, I just had a drunk old white man come up to the counter at I work now, and I was like, "How are you guys doing?" And he's like, "Good. Now that you're here, right?" So I was like, "Okay, that's not too bad. I've been hit on." And then he turns around and doesn't realize that I'm still there, and he tells his friend who's drunk as well, says, "Man, if I was 40 years younger, I would fuck the shit out of her."
Oh.
Right when I was there. Yeah,
And what makes you think you would even have a chance?
I don't know.
Like.
But he was like, you start talking about the army or the military.
Right.
And, and it was just, he was like, man, my days in the military, all the women that were with me, and like, oh, I don't know, man, it was crazy. But it still happens to this day. And then older white women actually tell me that I'm exotic and beautiful. So it's nicer, but it's kind of annoying because, like, you're telling me I'm exotic and that's cool, but where the fuck are you? Like, wake up.
Right.
Like, have you been to other parts of the city? Like, the world?
Do you see anyone that doesn't look like you on a regular basis?
So I hated living in that area because of the people. I mean, there were nice people, but I would always get that, and then, or the moment they would find out, I'm holding my girlfriend's hand, they're just like, now this is even more fetishized.
Right.
Like, so it was, I guess you could call that racism. I don't know. Or just a fetish?
No, I mean, it's about race, but, I mean, I don't have any of those experiences because, I went to a super white high school, but I think people in general do kind of stick to their groups that they have.
Oh,
and,
for sure.
And they don't really have any need to, explore outside of that. And then when they do come across it, they just don't even know how to.
I hung out with all the colors.
Right.
I hung out with all the colors, man.
I mean, it's a more rich life when you have people that come from different places.
It's just something about a stranger doing it, though.
Yeah,
because obviously you're friends.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first, started hanging out and starting talking to each other, developing a friendship, it was very clear that we were definitely different, people. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
we definitely had different approaches to life, had different life experiences, and it was nothing for her to ask me to touch my hair or to say something that was racially insensitive. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, stop. Let's stop. Hold on, really quick. How many people have asked you to touch your hair?
The crazy part is, I actually asked her to touch her hair.
No fucking way.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So in that situation, it was definitely reversed, Even though after I asked her, she did say, "Well, since we're asking, let me try, let me touch your hair, then."
Whoa.
But I definitely feel like because we were developing a friendship, and I could determine, from what I gathered that she was a genuine person. Sometimes something that she would say would be racially insensitive,
right.
or and vice versa, but because you had developed the relationship with somebody, it's just like, dude, you can't be fucking saying that. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of those type deals. But it is like when a stranger, the fact that someone who doesn't know you feels comfortable.
It's not okay.
Yeah. It's not okay.
It's not okay. People just need to know that, not okay.
So if somebody asks you to touch your hair,
I will say yes and then slap the shit out of them.
If they touch it, or just
if
yes.
they reach for it, because then they're.
But you said yes. That's like entrapment.
No.
You cannot say yes if the next thing is to slap.
I think I would say yes sarcastically, like, yeah, sure, and then I would hit them.
But what I don't want you to think is that it was just like, oh, hey, good morning. Can I touch your hair?
That's what it sounds like.
No, there was definitely probably a conversation about hair. Because I think what brought it up is that because I had dreadlocks for 10 years, and we were talking about how often she washes her hair compared to how often I washed my hair. And then she made mention of if she didn't wash her hair on a regular basis, that it would become greasy.
Yeah.
And I was like, greasy? Like, it looks kind of flowy, whatever that means. Like, if wind went through it, it looks like it would move.
What is this?
When I think greasy, I think something like, stiff, kind of hard. Right. Yeah. And she's like, no, this shit is greasy. Take a feel type. And I was like, can I feel it? Type deal. I don't want you to think that.
That's cool.
Man, she put us out there like some creepers, didn't she?
I did. It's a good thing you guys justified that.
But I do feel what you're saying. Like, if I'm just randomly out and someone's just like, oh wow, I love that black hairstyle you have. Can I touch your hair?
I've had a regular at my job who is married to an Asian woman. They have a kid together. He's nice, but I think he's racially insensitive subconsciously, because one time he asked, he's like, you people have a lot
never a good phrase.
I know.
You people?
He was like,
gay people? Minority people? What are you saying?
Human people? Because his wife is Asian, and he was talking to me about how he's stressing out because his wife's family was in town, and they're all staying at their house, and there was 10 or 11 of them. It was a family reunion and something going on down the street. And I was like, oh yeah, I just had my family reunion, and we had to pack our house too. And he's like, you people like to sleep on the floor, huh? I'm sorry,
whoa. What?
Yeah, so I'm like, what do you mean?
That is not even something you can generalize.
Because he obviously
whole race. You know what I'm saying? Like sleeping on the floor.
So the point of this was that he thought we were the same race. And I'm Filipino, and she's Vietnamese. That's why it was weird, because I was like, I bet your wife we're not the same race. So we just figured we were the same.
People do that a lot. I've been guilty of that, because when I went to college in Virginia, it has a large African population down there, in regards to students. And I had a friend, she's still my friend, I guess, PK, and she was from Zambia. And that was the first lesson that she taught me, look, Everybody, just because they're from Africa, they're completely, we're talking about whole different
country.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, so you can't say, oh, she's African too, and generalize me with her when I'm South African and she's from Liberia. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, you know? And that was the first lesson I got. And my second lesson was not to
touch her hair.
No, not to give her a nickname. You know, she felt that Americans, and she grouped us together. She said that they have, you know, tendencies to minimalize, you know, the African name, you know, and not take any effort to try to get to know. She goes, you know, I come from, these are the names that I'm used to. She was like, so when I hear LaShandra, or, you know, Channell or Daniella, that's not anything that's normal to me to think of as a name. And if I can take the time to learn you guys' name, because her name was, let's see if she can be proud of me, if I can get the pronunciation right. Mfike, Makai, and it was spelled Mfikeyyi, and people would call her K because they didn't want to get, you know, it was Mfike. It was like a more of a noise in the front. Like, I'm sure I'm butchering it again. It's been years since she put me through a lesson.
You have no idea.
But you know, and when she said it like that, I'm like, wow, that does make a lot of sense. That, you know, I should take the time to learn your name. Like, it's not fair that I just give you a nickname because I decided that your name is too hard to learn.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah. That's a great point. I wouldn't have ever thought that. Though.
Right.
Just to. Yeah, you're not trying to offend anybody.
Right. But it was just like, what is it? Like, one more time?
You know, I think my name isn't hard to say. It's Jamila.
Jamila.
But for some reason, it's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
To say.
Jamila?
Yeah, like, you know, so I'm just like, just call me Jam.
It's the emphasis that they put on certain, like, you know, aspects of your name, like portions of your name. Like, I feel like mine's is on the end, so when they say it, they're like Channell.
What?
How do they mess that up?
Yeah, how do they? I don't know.
Channel. I've been called Channel.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, well, it's my mom's fault, partly because she spelled it Channel with an extra L. But when you think about it, who would name their child Channel? So it's like,
there are some crazy names.
Wait, I was gonna say
Channel though. Come on.
I was gonna say
that would just be.
Just love TV.
I think when last night when I was tweeting about a recording today, I spelled it like I would think Chanel would be spelled.
Like the perfume.
Right.
Right.
And Danielle's like, oh, that's not how it's spelled.
Right.
And I think I made a comment
because that's too much like right, you know. And I purposely blame my mother for that, you know, for definitely taking that left turn, because it was like you had the foundation right there. All you had to do was just follow the script. But no, she didn't. So, like, they always like, oh, what is that? Channel.
What channel are you on?
Channel. Trying to make it into something like it's just Chanel.
Why is your name Daniella?
Yeah, why is that?
After the barber's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Who's the barber?
The family barber.
Your dad?
No, just the barber.
A barber.
A barber.
Just a random barber?
Well, I think it was
his name
like
was
Daniella?
Daniella?
No, wait a second.
Wait, what? This just took a gay turn.
I think it was my father's barber. His daughter is Daniella. But my mom always said she spelled it wrong with 2 L's.
Could you imagine the type of fucking haircuts you gotta give out
for
somebody to name their kid?
Must have been so nice. And for a good price.
Right. Is he still cutting? Because I want to try him out.
I want to be
name your kid after.
Right, exactly. What are these haircuts like? I want ends for real.
Yeah. But how is that my story? And my brother, Dante, is named after a great Italian poet. And I'm named after
that fits right in line with
daughter.
Dante. He has that underlying quality.
Does. He could be
like he could be amazing one of these days. Shout out to you, Dante.
There you go.
For real.
Wait, that is the one that worked at Regal.
Yeah,
I'm not mixing him up with the one I don't know,
right? No. There's too many.
Right,
like I don't know where his name came from. Giancarlo.
It was gonna be Vinny,
that's sexy.
It was gonna be Vince.
That should bring him in when he gets. You know what I'm saying?
Giancarlo.
Yeah, yo, if he puts that accent on it, that's a winner.
Well, apparently, like, all his workmates call him John or Johnny.
That's so
yeah, that's fucked
that's
up.
cool. Like, that's so not as cool
I
as
don't
his
like
real
that.
name.
That's messed up.
Super
Yeah.
lame. Like, super white boy.
Does he like it, though?
I don't. Who knows? You can't ever get a.
My name's awesome. I think I love it. A lot of people for some reason don't like their name. I love my name. I never
like my name.
Really?
I mean,
because it's Channell, dude.
Yo, that's what I'm saying. And then not only that, I felt in my heart of hearts when I was growing up that I was a Jasmine. I've always,
dang.
And then people
people
that I say that to, they're like, oh, nah, man, you're not no Jasmine. And that's only because you haven't heard my nickname yet. Jazz. Boom. If I don't look like a Jazz right now,
you look like a Jazz.
The people can't see me, but if they could see me,
looking jazzy.
You're jazzy. You look jazzy.
But yeah, like I totally felt like my name should have been Jasmine. My nickname should have been Jazz, and
there's still time.
Nah, that ship has sailed. Yeah. You know, I'm way too old to pull off that coolness at this point, right?
You have to tell everybody.
For real, and then you gotta pay. It's just, I just wanted my mom to get it right. Right. I just wanted my mom to get it right.
The only part I don't like about my name or my nickname Jam is that everyone tries to say something about it. Like, oh, like strawberry jam? Or the like peanut butter and jam? Like, and I'm like, oh, I haven't heard that a million fucking times.
If I had $1 for every time I heard
that, I would be loaded right now. Kid you not, I would be loaded.
That is just, they're like, that's my jam.
Oh my god, I hear that all the time. I think on a lot of people's phones, my contact name is something crazy. Like Jam On It is one of my favorite ones.
Jam On It.
Yeah. Or Giovanna's dad calls me Traffic Jam, which is my favorite actually.
That's at least creative.
Yeah, that one's creative.
Jam.
Her mom calls me Pajama. See, these are things that you would never hear. You know?
Right.
Like people that just say basic shit like the name of and like just put a fruit in front of my name, then it works. You know, grape jam.
Right.
Yeah.
Orange.
Yeah, that's definitely not as creative.
No, it's not.
So let's talk religion.
Man, we really have.
What's up?
Went off.
From,
yeah, we hit a lot of topics in that last 10 minutes.
I don't think I realized.
We were all over the place.
So what's up with religion?
What's up with it, man?
Well, yeah, what's up with it?
They say you need it.
Yeah. Do we?
I don't know about that.
Is that
Whoa, is that an atheist speaking right here?
No, okay. I don't call myself anything.
Oh.
I'm just
to avoid controversy.
No, I'm
someone who doesn't call themselves anything sounds like a person that's trying to avoid everything.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there's something out there.
For sure.
We don't know what it is, and we probably can't name it.
So you
or understand it.
But where do you believe that there's a religion that this super being that you're referring to fits in? Like, are we thinking that he had more attributes and characteristics of God, or?
I mean, we can give him
Buddha.
Or,
there's other ones.
Muhammad.
Yeah. Who are you thinking? What religion do you feel like you relate the most with? Like that you are the most in tune with?
I mean, that's hard to answer because I was raised Catholic, so that's the one I'm most familiar with. If someone says God to me, that's still the image I pull up.
Okay.
But
is the white Christian.
Right,
that came from Africa.
The Middle Eastern white guy.
Right. Whole nother podcast for a whole nother day. Is that what comes to your head?
Do you consider yourself an omnist?
What is that?
I was just about to say, define that one.
Yeah, so basically an omnist is just someone that respects all religions but doesn't practice any of it and believes there's a superior. That's basically what you're saying, right?
Now, I would definitely feel like I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm not sure I can say I respect all religion.
Okay.
I respect people's right to have a religion, but to say that I'm not... Well, because you should be able to.
Right, exactly. Right. Tiptoeing.
People are going to hear this, and they're going to... Everything we're saying is going to forever be on the internet.
Listen, you can believe whatever you want. You can believe in the boogeyman. You can believe in Bigfoot.
Can you believe in the devil?
You can believe in the devil.
Would you associate yourself with someone who believed in the devil?
Well, if you believe in God, don't you believe in the devil?
Well, you don't believe in him. You recognize
okay.
that he exists.
So do you
believe in right?
Let me rephrase that. If you recognize God exists, do you recognize the devil exists?
I do believe so.
Okay.
I think they come hand in hand.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a yin and yang to the world in general.
But I do feel like worshiping the devil is different from obviously.
I mean, it's problematic. You have a right to do it, but it's problematic.
So you gotta choose a side.
So
right?
I was just about to say, so if you were on your deathbed right now, not to kill you, and someone said, you know, you're gonna die in the next 10 minutes, you want to get your life right, would you want the priest there to say the final prayers or whatever have you? Do you feel that in tune with it that you need that word over your life before it's no more life?
No.
So whoa.
You're like, who are you?
Right, I don't even know you.
A lot of people.
Your mom's gonna listen to this.
A lot of people would say yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Because even if they hadn't practiced.
Yeah, because
you want that one last chance.
Just you know? Well, besides that, in the moment of death, close to death, there's fear, and you know, you try to think of anything possible to feel safe and comfortable again, and that usually is what we've learned is God or any type of religion. So that's really crazy that you said that.
It could be nothing. It could just be nothingness.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's where I feel like the hope comes in. That there is something.
It's
after,
great to think.
You know. Oh yeah, I totally feel. There are definitely nights where I lay awake and the thought of not being here trips me the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, because when you actually think about dying to no longer exist anymore, if there isn't anything after life, to go your whole life kind of telling yourself that's like cruel and unusual punishment. It's like, even if there isn't anything left, I still want to tell myself there's something left, because it's like, what kind of life is that? And I guess there are people that say that's why you gotta live your life to the fullest, you know, don't let a day go by. But let's be real, you're living this life. You can't live every day to the fullest. Shit, some days you tired.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Really tired.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
dang.
So if I can't live every day to the fullest, and there are definitely gonna be days that I'm wasting, or days that I'm just working all day that I can't live to the fullest because I need money and I got bills and stuff like that. So I do need to think that there's an afterlife, because I'm not living every day to the fullest.
Yeah.
So I'm wasting mad days if it's not.
A lot of days.
You know what I'm saying? No, but I do feel, I don't feel I'm a religious person, you know, and that would be left to determine what your definition of religious is. I have my definitions of what I think, you know, religious is. Obviously, you know, going to a common place of worship on a daily basis to be with like-minded people, you know, actively studying the word to become, you know, fluent in the practices that you're able to apply those to your life on a daily basis, constantly seeking, you know, this relationship with this being, you know, God. You know, I don't feel like I'm there. You know, I do definitely feel like there is a God. I definitely feel like I govern my life by many practices that are in the Bible. You know, if someone were to ask me what my religion was, that's what I would go to. You know, I grew up, you know, Baptist. But as I start to get, I would say, as I started to get educated, you know, going through college, I feel like college opens you up to a whole nother world, a whole nother way of thinking. You know, I think that as time actually progressed, I like to think that if I am the best person that I could be, you know, genuinely being kind to people, loving people, you know, accepting love back, you know, being a good person overall. I would hate to think that me being gay stops me from getting into heaven. You know, like, you know, I'm not, and that's not to say that it won't stop me from getting in there, you know, but I like to live my life thinking that this superior being, this know-it-all being, this person that sent his son to die on the cross for me, that he's a little more merciful than that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That he is more loving than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because there are people in the world have determined that I'm not going to heaven, I'd like to think that God is more evolved than what people make him out to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that he can, you know, and will let me in there, you know, for being the type of person that deserves to be in there. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm perfect by any means, but it's like, I would think that, you know, I'm not.
Good enough.
Yeah, good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's where it gets tricky though, because I mean the Bible is his word, but manipulated by humans.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at his teachings, I mean that's what exactly what you just said: being kind to others, being helpful, you know, being selfless, and if you exhibit all of those qualities, I mean, being your sexuality shouldn't affect any of that or determine your fate.
And then when you think about it, if it did, there's a lot of people that's not going. Because I'm not well versed in the Bible, but I am versed enough to know that, I mean, there's a lot of things you could go to hell for. And I'm sorry, sleeping with a woman ain't the only thing. Right. You know, there's, you know, alcoholics, a reprobate mind, you know, like, there's all of these things that he listed, you know what I mean? Like, that would lead you to hell.
Someone listed.
Right. Well, right. Or someone listed. You know, so for the person that's telling me that I'm not going to heaven because I'm gay, but they've had 3 children out of wedlock.
Right, they've been divorced.
Right, divorced. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are all things that he listed.
It's like, shit, see you there.
Right.
Like,
for real. There. Like, you know, if he is as unforgiving as people make him out to be, nobody's going to be there.
No one's going in there.
And ain't nobody in there right now. Like, so, you know, who knows? At the end of the day, we ain't gonna know.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's so crazy.
I think a huge fear of mine would be the mystery of life after death. Yeah, or not knowing even.
Right.
What do you think?
What do you think? Right.
I know I have been quiet the entire time.
Mention it.
So I grew up Catholic. And I went to church every Sunday and all that. I'm kind of on the same level of Channell. I believe that there's God, you know. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's their name's God or if they're he or she or but I do believe that there is something out there, and it could be hope, you know, but I actually maybe I just do want to believe that there's something out there.
I want to.
Yeah, I want to for sure. And I just also want to know that like family and loved ones are safe, you know. It's always I don't see it's a struggle because I'm so open to so many things that like sometimes I'll be like shit, there's probably isn't a heaven. But then when someone dies, I'm like I really fucking hope there's a heaven. I'm sure that they're there, you know. So it's very hard to say, but in conclusion, I would say that I believe that there's a God.
Yeah, it was very pageant.
It's really I'm teeter-tottering right now, but yeah, I don't know.
See, I almost think your answer was more in line with me. I mean, do you prescribe to any particular religion? I mean, I know you say you're raised Catholic.
I don't.
You wouldn't say I align with these values of this religion.
Yeah, I know that when I go to like a funeral, for example, at a church, I know how to do it. I know if I go to a Catholic church, I still know everything. I know what to say, know what to sing, and all that. But I don't think I fall in line with it. Like the only times I've ever been to a place of worship the past couple of years is because of a friend that passed away. You know, but I don't usually normally go.
Right. So that's where I kind of am. That I feel like there's a being out there. There's something bigger than us.
Yeah. But
I can't define it. I don't think you need to do something in particular to worship it.
Right.
You know, those kinds of things
where you... My mother would have a field day.
I was gonna say.
My mom will be eating us apart.
I was just gonna say.
How do you think that you can align yourself with something and not be what my mom will be having a field day with us right now.
I need to state this for the podcast. Mom, if you're listening,
right?
I love you, and Dad, and you know, I am my own being, and
God is still working on me.
He's still there. But my parents, I got lucky with my parents because they are religious, but they never pushed anything on me or forced anything on me. They didn't say, you have to go to church today.
Well, my mom definitely forced it on me, for sure.
Yeah.
My mom was very religious when I was growing up, and I had to go to Sunday school, and I had to be a part of an organization in the choir, in the church, and I had to be there every Sunday, and I had to go to the youth camps and the Bible studies and the vacation school, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, she definitely forced it, but I will say that my mom also never stopped me from doing anything else. I remember growing up, I had a best friend who was Muslim, and she routinely let me go to the mosque with her,
That's cool.
growing up and stuff like that. But I never felt like I was wanted to be Muslim. I never felt like I wanted to be anything other than what I was. I'll say that. Yeah. But, even though she fed me, Christianity, I will say that she did kind of allowed me to explore. Yeah. Now, I don't know if I came to her and I was like, I want to be a Muslim now. If that would have flew. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It definitely would have been an issue, but I like to think that the fact that she let me go was her way of giving me an option.
I know I went to Sunday school and all that, but I think when I hit an age where I started questioning everything and started wanted to do my own thing, started developing my own, thought processes, I was old enough to be like, okay, maybe this is not what I believe in. Then they respected that. They were like, okay, you could come to church, we're letting you know you could come and, do this with us if you believe it, but if you don't feel like this is what you should do. I think I might have been, pretty young still, maybe 12.
What?
Yeah, 12 or 13.
That's when I was still getting force fed.
Well, but
that's young.
I definitely didn't have a choice that young.
But I also grew up very fast too. Very, very fast. But not because of them, just because from the city I grew up in, and the friends I had were 6 years older than me. So all these the way I thought, was just sped up.
Right.
By a lot. Yeah. But so you're getting married soon, right?
I am.
Shit. Congratulations, dude.
Woo, woo, woo. Yes, I am. I am marrying my high school best friend.
Wow.
Right. I've known her since I was about 15 years old.
Wow.
That is so wild.
And we probably dated for, I think this year is 9 years.
Wow.
So,
how does that feel?
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on in your head?
It's crazy because you've been with me, Daniella, this journey. It started off really, just very shaky because I had never been a monogamous type person. Really? I had never been in, I think I've only had been in one other relationship. I had never had a female require me to be all in. I think she was one of the first people who kind of demanded that, I'd be the type of person that she was being, towards me. And it wasn't always, pristine. We definitely have grown to where we are now. But, nonetheless, I'm here.
Yeah.
I am here. I proposed in December. We get married next August.
Oh.
I had my engagement party already, and life's moving on. It is definitely chugging along on me.
You excited or what's going on?
I am super excited about making a commitment. I don't think there's ever been anything in my life that I've had to make a long-term commitment to.
This is the longest.
Right, forever.
This is a forever.
Right, this is a forever thing. But I can't think of anybody else that I would rather, do it with. Obviously, for knowing her half my life, I definitely feel very comfortable, with our relationship. I'm here, it's crazy because I never thought that I would be a person that would settle down. Yeah. I've had a great run, you know what I'm saying?
You're scratching your head.
Yeah, before her, I definitely had, a great run. but I'm enjoying this part of my life, just that stability, that I think when you start to get older, you do think about your life different and you think about the companionship as opposed to, things that you thought about when you were younger. And life and marriage is really about finding not somebody that you necessarily love to death, even though I love my girlfriend, fiance to death. It's about finding somebody that you're compatible with.
Right.
Somebody that complements the type of person you are. Sometimes love is not gonna be enough. Sometimes looks are not, gonna be enough. Once you start really looking for something substantial in a relationship, and I just feel like we are a good match for each other in regards to my shortcomings, she's strong, and vice versa. I feel like we're a good match for each other. We have a great companionship. So do you guys think that you would ever get married? Or
we've
not to say that you're in a relationship now, but just are you open to the idea of long-term commitment?
So
we've had this conversation before in this house.
That's why
about marriage specifically.
It actually went into a lot deeper regarding like feminism and all that. Yeah.
You guys would make it.
We went hard. Yeah. Marriage to me. See, this is what I'm talking about, because when I said I'm too open, this is where I get confused about things like this.
Okay, well, let's talk.
Yeah. So a part of me feels like marriage is an amazing commitment that you could spend the rest of your life with.
For sure.
That's amazing, right? But then sometimes, what Danielle and I talked about in the past was that I feel like marriage was invented because of commitment, like issues or something
on lockdown.
Yeah. So it's like, do I need to get married specifically to know that I could be with this partner forever? I don't think so.
Right.
I think it's
getting
amazing.
Married doesn't mean that you're gonna be with somebody forever. That's the
right.
thought, but
but it's just
making you.
I think it's the fact that like it's not as free as I want it to be. In the sense where like not like I want to go and mess around with other people, but in the sense where like I have to have a piece of paper that says this. The government knows,
But I guess that would be if that's the approach you took to look at it. Because if you decided to look at it, now I'll play devil's advocate. If you decided to look at it a different way, that this is a person that you love, that you are concerned with their well-being, and you want them to actually be able to make decisions regarding you as a person. You want them to have access to things in the event of your death.
Right.
That, and I feel like as I start to get older, those are the things that I want to make sure that are in place, for my wife, my future wife, that she has say so, like I love my mother to death, but I don't lay with my mom every night. She does not know what I want if this were to happen.
Yeah.
Or if this were to happen, or if I was on life support, what I would want. She does not know that. And that means, I could tell her, but the person who knows the most about me should be in charge of that. And, and I have to do my part, as a partner to make sure that she does have a voice and all of that. If my mom decided that she didn't want to listen to anything she said, as her just being my girlfriend, she would have no other recourse but to...
But that's because that's the way society's built it to be. So that's where I get so confused about everything, is because you have to get married, and the government now knows that this is the next of kin. Like, this is the person that they're going to go to when you die, because you're married to them.
Well, what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it, and I'm pretty sure there's ways where you can actually appoint that to someone even though you're not married. You can do it.
For sure.
So so it doesn't even.
But the idea is that if you're gonna be with this person for the rest of your life, how often do you want to appoint somebody to be over it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if you appoint this person, are they really privy to the inside and out of your deepest, darkest desires?
Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not against marriage at all, because I have proposed to an ex before. I have thought about proposing to my ex. You know what I mean? But my thought process is about marriage in general. I support anyone that wants to get married. I think it's a beautiful thing, The ceremony is beautiful. shit, I like helping plan a wedding, you know.
I think that's the least thing I'm excited about is the ceremony. I just want all of the formalities out of the way. I think I'm more excited about
locking it down, man. I think that's what I would be excited for.
It's already locked down.
Yeah,
it's for sure.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
See, now you guys got me in here
that's
blushing and whatnot. But I would like to think that those days are, that's all me. But I don't know. I think to each its own.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like if you can find somebody, and that's where it goes back to being compatible. You know, no one has to get married. You just gotta find somebody that wants what you want.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's willing to live life the way you want to live it, or that you guys have designed yourself to live it. Whatever happens, you gotta find somebody that's willing. So it's just like, if you find somebody that's willing to live how you want to live, and that's cool, then
it's all chill,
right? It's all
it's
good.
It's
you
all
guys don't have to. If that's not what's important to you, I just feel like in certain relationships, all relationships, you guys determine what's
because legally that's ideally, because you put your whole trust in being into this one person. Right. So I completely understand you on that. How do you feel, Daniella, about marriage?
I go back and forth. My biggest trip up when I think about it is that if you wanted to get out of it, if you were no longer wanting to be with this person, you need to pay lawyers to get this contract that the two of you signed to nullify it and to split assets and just the mess of that, and the fact that people don't get divorced because they can't afford it.
Yeah,
that's crazy to me. That's just it's just the contract part. When you start thinking of it as a contract, it's weird.
It is weird.
That's all my issue is.
It is the contract.
I know, but to say, I don't know, it just makes it so technical, I guess.
Sure.
And I don't know, it's just bizarre to me, and I just don't like.
I think that you guys have just decided to focus.
Probably.
That's true.
Part of it.
Yeah, that's true. I think we're also seeing it in like a liberal standpoint too, because like the whole being, we're talking about living life or whatever,
right?
And, that's just like unnecessary stress,
No, I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
So I definitely went through. I mean, this, Daniella. I definitely went through these conversations with my current fiance. I wasn't always at a point where I was gonna propose. Let's be clear. Yeah. I definitely was against it. I felt exactly the way you guys felt.
Yeah.
Why do I have to prove myself that I love you? Why do I have to give you a gift to say spend the rest of my life with me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I definitely went through all of these things. So, I mean, you guys are not lost on me at all.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I decided this is where me and my fiance had to get on the same page, where I was not necessarily gung-ho about it, and she was, and we had to sit down and talk, and I decided that at that point that all of the things she was saying, I got to that point.
Yeah.
I just wasn't there when we were there. Yeah. But I feel like you will, get to that point.
Well, there are moments, where I'm like, damn, I really want to spend the rest of my life with this.
You
like,
just look down
really
or something,
or
they just come through in the clutch,
you're just
man, you so clutch.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you little things, like the other day I was stressing out at work, and she pops up with a peanut butter smoothie.
See, that's all it
is. I was like, babe,
that's exactly
me
so
what I
good, babe.
Yeah, that's all I needed.
Why you love me so good?
Then I had a good day.
Right, because you decided to be happy.
Exactly.
Came through.
So, I guess I see what you're saying, because you do get to that point. But I guess in all the technicality is where Danielle and I are like, okay.
Yeah, because
obviously but that's what it is, because you're not all the way there.
Right.
You're able to let these thoughts. You're still in the analyzing phase. You haven't gotten to the point where you decided like, oh, now it all makes sense. Because I remember when I don't think I had ever really been in love, and people used to always say like, yo, when you're in love, you gonna know it. Like, what kind of fucking, what is that? Like, that's not real advice. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you gonna know. Like,
know
you know.
What?
You know what I'm
like,
saying?
Do you?
Right. Like, but I do feel like there was a point in my relationship where I just knew it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I don't know when it happened. I don't know if it was a specific situation that made it happen. That's me, the trash can. I saw you look up.
Oh,
I
okay.
did that. Yeah. You know, I don't know what made it happen, but I do vividly remember a point in our relationship when I was like, "That's bae."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
I can feel you, dude.
Like, so, you know, I mean, I guess.
That's you said next August or this upcoming August?
No, next August. Yeah.
Alright, you got plenty of time to plan
Plenty
it out.
of time. Trust me, I know. We're planning.
Yeah.
It's all good, so.
So how does your family feel about you guys getting married?
Like I said, they're very supportive. I don't know if they're so supportive because, like I said, I've known her for. It's not like they had to get used to some stranger.
Yeah, you
get
grew
to
up
know
with
some,
her.
right? Like,
right.
So all of our, both of our families were very integrated because we were best friends growing up.
Yeah.
So they're like very, supportive. And then also, I don't know if they've had. Is it because they've had plenty of time to get used to it? I mean, me and her have been together for 8 years.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I just feel like at this point they've decided, oh, y'all not already married? Like, y'all have been together forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, if any of my family does have any reservations, I haven't had any conversations with them. They have been, very supportive, mostly, I would say 90% of the people I invited, family and friends to our engagement party, they all showed up. So like I said, I just feel like today is kind of like a different age and time.
Yeah.
And it's also different because it's not like I came out when I was still dependent on anybody.
Right.
I was a grown adult living on my own, supporting myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you are not tied to the person that you're telling or relying on the person that you're telling to maintain anything with you thereafter, once they find out, I feel like it lets a lot of the pressure off.
Yeah.
Because although it would have been hurtful, let's just say if my mom was not supportive, I do not rely on my mother for my life to go on. Like, she does not pay my bills. She just, I'm just older now. So I'm not governed by every thought that she has.
Right.
I have a mind of my own, and I feel like I'm old enough that, I don't have to agree with everything she says, and she doesn't agree with everything I say.
Right.
But we're also at that point where she realizes that I'm an adult. I'm not a child for her to still discipline and mold anymore. The molding is over. Now the living starts. You know what I'm saying? Like, right, exactly. So, that was different in my situation. I wasn't a high school student that was just wanting their parent to love them, or support them, you know what I'm saying? Like, but, with all that being said, my mom handled it, very well, better than I ever thought she would, because like I said, she's very religious. I do feel like she has had time to get over it. I also was not that type of person that put it in her face so abruptly at first. It was incremental, the way she kind of,
start getting hints,
Right, hints first. And then, it wasn't like, oh, this is my girlfriend, mwah, 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 all in my mom's face. There was a gradual progression where it was like, hey, this is my girlfriend. Then the next time, she comes around. And then the next time, maybe you see me nudge her a little bit. I wasn't trying to throw it all in her face. I wanted it to be a very gradual experience.
Respectfully coming out of the closet.
She definitely knew, like, oh, when we're home, there's different things going on. But I'll give you the watered down version,
That's okay.
of what, right, exactly, what's happening. So that was cool. What about you guys coming out to your parents? Have you come out already?
Yeah.
Or is this to come out? Right here?
Surprise!
No. Surprise! I'm gay!
We're living with our girlfriends. It was kind of just my mom found out.
Oh, really?
How did she just find out?
Yeah, for real.
Like Please explain.
I was I started dating a girl and bringing her around, and
but when you were bringing her around, it was definitely like, this is my girlfriend, or you just happened to start bringing this girl around.
Yeah, just started bringing a girl
and you had never brought anyone around.
I'm not good with like confrontation, like
right,
you know. So yeah, and then I don't even know what tipped it off, to be honest. Like,
did she ever have a conversation like
yeah, there was like,
really?
there was like an, are you dating? And I'm like,
what did she say?
She said, she asked if I was dating the person.
Oh, the girl?
Yeah.
Or did she just say, do you date girls?
No. She asked.
So she had a full-on example of who she thought she was dating. Yeah, I would have shit bricks.
Did you wait? So she asked you if you were. What did you say?
Yes, I said yes.
What did she say?
That was.
Oh my goodness.
I don't.
I know your family so well now, and it's like.
You can't picture her mom like.
I can't.
She's like, oh no, I definitely can't.
I can picture your mom asking this question.
Yeah, I mean, what was I gonna do? Lie?
Yeah, you're right.
That was
a perfect opportunity because you didn't have to bring. Yo, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, come on, dude.
You knew. So that was kind of my, and then just
did she
really
start crying?
About it again. No, it was. I mean, it was.
Have you guys
civil.
ever addressed it since then?
Not like where we would sit down and like have a conversation.
Do you want to have that conversation with your mom?
No.
You're not ready for
no,
it.
I mean, I'm living with my girlfriend.
See, in a position where she's not governing your life.
Yeah.
It's like, I told you, you know what's up. You know, I don't have to come to you every day for money or, you know, to pay a bill. It's like, so I don't have to live my life how you want me to live it.
And I mean, no one was ever like, I don't want
to. Don't do that.
Like, it was all copacetic.
Right.
So I'm sure there was an adjustment period.
I always wanted to ask my mom, like, when you were younger, did you have any experiences?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that of 9 out of 10 parents, I'm not saying that you necessarily was in a lesbian relationship,
right?
But you kissed a best friend,
you
dry humped somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, you touched some girl's booty. I know you did. You know what I'm saying? I know you did. Just tell me. It doesn't make you gay. It just makes us relatable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're just experimenting.
Right. Like, I'm pretty sure that, because you figure, like, our parents, if I was born in 84, you know, that's like the 60s and 70s that they were born.
Everybody was free and loose.
Yeah. Hippieing and shit.
Oh, they were high all the time.
Yeah.
Don't lie.
They were so high, having so many orgies. I know it. For real. They just can't say it because then everything thereafter that they try to teach us is null and void. Because it was like, Mom, you used to be a slut. Stop it.
How are you going to look at
I would not be able to look at my mom the same. I want to know, but I don't want to know. I don't want to know she was the life of the party. Right? Exactly.
Oh, no.
I don't want to know she was the life of the party. I swear I don't.
Jimmy?
Yeah, don't think you're getting out of this. You thought we forgot?
It was actually quite. It was a surprise because I must have been 15 at the time, and I was already dating a girl who I thought I was in love with.
Wow.
And,
you're always in love at 15.
Yeah, you know. And she, the girl kind of, you know, she's like, you should come out to your.
Was she older?
Yeah, 3 years. But I would consider myself older because she didn't know what the fuck she was doing either. She hadn't come out. You know, but
she was telling you to come out.
She encouraged me to because I've been trying to do it for the past year. You know.
Oh, so you like around 14?
Around 14 was when I was like
self-observation.
Yeah.
Like,
when I was 14, I was like, yeah, I'm gay. You know, or at least I labeled myself as bisexual because I was still so confused. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But so when I hit 15, I started dating this girl, and I just remember walking into my parents' bedroom. And my mom was folding laundry. And I lay down on the bed while she's folding laundry and watching her show. And I'm like, Mom, I have to tell you something, but I don't want you to get mad at me or judge me or think anything bad of me, you know. And she's like, what's up? You know, like, oh, you could tell me anything. Right. My mom's an awesome person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I have a girlfriend. I didn't even say I was gay. I said, I have a girlfriend.
It's like easier words to get out.
I think. And she's like, who? That's all. She's like, who? And I was like, her name is, you know, and I was like, and I think I love her. And my mom, being the supportive, amazing person she is, she just goes, oh, I know you're gay. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I've known for a while, Jam. Like, I was just waiting for you to tell me. So it was really cool.
Same thing.
It was easy to, it was easy to come out. But my dad was another story. It took a while for him to accept it. I actually didn't tell him weeks after I told my mom. And then I remember he was driving me to court. I was a delinquent, by the way. He was driving me to court, and I told him, I was like, you know what, I have a girlfriend. He's like, no, you don't. And then that right there was like a red flag. So I was like,
you're right.
I don't. No, that's what I said. I said, you know what, you're right. I don't. You're just kidding. And then later on, he found out, and at first he was like, man, that's crazy, But now he's very accepting. He loves Giovanna to death, And I think they just tried seeing the positive side of it, like I can't get pregnant, like this person's basically my best friend, which they are. Girls are just easier to take care of, at least for me to take care of them because I know what they want and all that. So it turned out pretty well. They love who I am with now, so
no horror stories.
No horror stories.
Which is weird that you get 3 homosexuals in the same spot, and that they don't have some terror story from coming out to their parents. That's like unheard of,
And really, the whole house. I mean, my girlfriend Rachel. I mean, all her sisters are gay, so everything.
Holy shit!
All of them.
Holy, I thought that it was a 1 in a million chance that me and a cousin was gay. Like one of my cousin that I brought over last time. Like,
well, it's actually, I wrote a blog about it. It's because I did some research. It's actually, I mean, it's genetic, especially in the same. If it'll go by cousins or it'll be like a brother sister.
Yeah. Weird. Because I do know a girl and both her brothers are gay. So
yeah, I don't know.
Not to confirm your scientific facts or anything,
but
I'm just saying, I do know somebody that fit that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
The girl that I told you guys I was going to propose to, that was a crazy coming out story because her parents were super religious and conservative. Even though they did drugs, okay, sorry, I'm not gonna say the name, obviously, but they did crazy shit in their lives. But I remember they knew that she was dating someone. They thought a boy, and my name was like Brian or something. Like they said,
made up a name.
We made up a name because she wasn't ready to come out, and you can't force someone to do that, you know. So, and then one day, after maybe like 6 months, she finally told her mom, and it went completely wrong. She brought her to church again every day. She brought her grandma to come in to give her an exorcism. She said that I was the devil, and there were even some stuff in there that was just too raw and too inappropriate maybe for me to say. It made me feel like I was a really shitty human being because I was like having her go through this.
So did the proposal come before or after this?
Way after, because we went through a lot of shit.
Do you think that her family is the reason why? Clearly, I mean, because I'm just assuming obviously it didn't work because you're with somebody else now. But do you feel like they contributed to the downfall of your relationship?
Actually, no, not at all, because our relationship was very strong. But it was a very toxic relationship. So the downfall of our relationship had nothing to do with her parents. They were just assholes on the side being unnecessary stress. So I'm not gonna. No, they weren't the reason. We were a horrible match. It was just like I was 15 and I thought I was in love, you know. And I was like, I'm gonna marry you, you know.
Right.
I will admit, you know, if you're listening to this, for you know who you are. I forgive you for whatever you did, but at the time, if we got married, we would have been horrible for each other. You know, like I know to this day that we would have been divorced in a second.
That's a bullet you dodged.
Yeah, a bullet I dodged for sure. But you know, I even did the whole like proposal on the beach thing. It was crazy. But yeah, now that I'm older and more mature, I realize that like that would have been one of the biggest mistakes. I think the hardest part about her parents not accepting of her being gay was that they blamed me for her father's cancer.
Excuse me?
No, what?
I know, it's I'm telling you, it got really, it's worse than that, but there was a moment where her mom said the reason why her husband got cancer was because I was the devil and I came into their life. And that it was crazy. And God forbid, not all Christians are like that. Okay, right. Obviously, right. You're sitting right here, and you're not like that at all. You know, that kind of made me think, like, back in the day, like, religion's crazy, you know.
And it's crazy. I think it's just because it's supposed to be the ones that's so benevolent, you know. Mm-hmm. It's just all throughout Christianity, they've, you know, just extended love.
Yeah. So
or should be able to extend love.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case on most.
Yeah. Yeah, but her father passed away a week after we broke up. Oh, and the reason I think her justification was that she couldn't handle a relationship while she was dealing with her father being sick, mm-hmm. Which at the time made sense until, you know, other things just didn't line up months mm-hmm. after, when I was like, I'm going to wait for you.
Right.
Things didn't add up after that. I realized that she was already talking to someone else, multiple people, and, mm-hmm. you know, it just... I don't blame her. Like, right. you're 20. You're 19 years old. You want to go out and, you know, 17.
You were only 15?
Well, by the time her father passed away, I was already 17 or 8. We were together for like 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so. Yeah, it's crazy. Being gay is crazy.
Being human is crazy.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Don't really take much. Things that get crazy.
All right, well, listen, thanks for doing this.
Man, yeah. I don't know how it happened, but I guess I'm somewhat glad it happened.
Dude,
I'm really glad it happened.
Glad. For sure.
Listen,
glad.
You're one of my best friends, so I appreciate you coming around.
I did. Even though I did, there were multiple times today that I wanted to build. And the fact that you just didn't hit me up all day, which was just cruel, because it actually up here, it led me to believe that I may have gotten off the hook. And so, but then the best friend in me was like, yo, I should at least shoot a text like, are we still a go? And of course, she texts back. I was just like, you just couldn't let this one lay, huh?